So in this video, I want to talk about what's known as the diagonalization of a matrix, or we can say that we're diagonalizing a matrix. And the idea is, what we're going to do is we're going to take a matrix A and we're going to break it up into a product of three separate matrices. So we've got some matrix P multiplied by some matrix D multiplied by the inverse of P. Okay, so one thing that's very important, really kind of the most important part, is that this matrix D, that turns out to be a diagonal matrix. And recall that a diagonal matrix is just a matrix that has entries along the diagonals. Everything else will be equal to zeros. Okay, so the idea is we can take a matrix A and we can break it up into this other form. Well, why do we care about even doing that in the first place? Well, just like we take numbers to powers, right? It's very common to take a number and raise it to a power. It's going to be very, very common to take a matrix A and also raise it to a power. So we want a way to be able to compute A to a power of K easily and quickly. Now, you could just start taking A and multiplying it by itself repeatedly, but it turns out that's computationally expensive. It can be time-consuming. So we're trying to figure out a clever, easy, faster way to do this. That's the whole point. We want to figure out a way to take that matrix A and raise it to a power quickly. And to do this, it's going to hinge on an observation about that diagonal matrix D. So I've just got some random diagonal matrix D here. It's got entries 4, 0, 0, and 3. Again, nothing special about this other than it's diagonal. Well, suppose I take matrix D and I multiply it by itself and I compute D squared. Well, I would just take D times D. We can use matrix multiplication to show that this is going to be 4 squared, 0, 0, and 3 squared. Well, likewise, if I want to compute D and raise it to the power of 3, after the matrix multiplication, we get 4 to the third, 0, 0, and 3 to the third as our entries. Well, if we keep this process up, it's going to turn out that for our diagonal matrix D, if we raise it to the K power, we just take the entries along the diagonal and just raise them to the power of K. Everything else still stays 0. So that's nice because it says to compute the power of a diagonal matrix, it's easy. Okay, there's not much work involved. Well, that's where the magic comes in, because if I can write this matrix A as this product of P times D times P inverse, it's going to be easy to take that matrix A and raise it to the power of K. It turns out that's just going to be the matrix P multiplied by that diagonal matrix D raised to the power of K. Again, and we said that one's the easy one to compute, multiplied by P inverse. So this is nice because P, okay, we know that one. D to the power of K, that's going to be easy. And then we just multiply it by P inverse again. So that's not too bad. Why does this, so I'm not going to prove it, this formula, but I think you could prove it very easily. And just to convince you of this, here I've got A to the fourth. Well, let's assume that we can write our matrix A in this form. So A is going to be P times D times P inverse. So if we can write it A to the fourth, well, I've just got 4 copies of it. But notice what's going to happen if we simplify, right? Notice if we simplify, so multiply. Notice that this P inverse and P, that's just going to turn into the identity matrix. The identity matrix. So if we go to simplify this, right, I would have P times D. So there's my P times D. The identity matrix is just like multiplying by 1, so we can just ignore it. Well, there's my next D. And again, there's my next D. And there's my next D. Now, we still have this P inverse on the end. We didn't get rid of that one. But that's just going to be the same thing as P times D to the fourth times P inverse. So I think you can convince yourself that this formula is, in fact, quite plausible. And, of course, you could just generalize what I did to get that. Okay, so again, just a little more terminology because not all square matrices can we do this to. So we will call a square matrix A. We'll say that that square matrix A is diagonalizable if we can write it in this form. Okay, so if we can write it in the form of some invertible matrix times some diagonal matrix times the inverse of that matrix P. Okay, so a little theorem here that's important, and then we'll jump onto the process of actually doing it. The process is a little time consuming. I am going to go through all the details, most all of the details, I should say, just so you hopefully get a feel for it. But before we get going, let's talk about this real quick. So the good old diagonalization theorem. So it says an n by n matrix, a square matrix A, it's diagonalizable if and only if A has n linearly independent eigenvectors. Okay, so it's going to happen that A, we can write it in this form, if and only if the columns of P are n linearly independent eigenvectors of A. And it says the diagonal entries of D are eigenvalues of A that correspond respectively to eigenvectors in P. So this is already kind of telling us how we go about setting things up. Just to make it a little more clear, here is the process, and here will be the example that we'll work with. So the process, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the eigenvalues of A. Next, I'm going to find n linearly independent eigenvectors of A. Next, we construct P from the eigenvectors in step 2. And lastly, we'll construct D from the corresponding eigenvalues. Okay, so we're going to work on this example here. Let's diagonalize this matrix A with entries 4, 0, 1, negative 2, 1, 0, negative 2, 0, and 1. Let's begin going through that process now.